Thank you all for coming, and welcome to the first in-person performance from Players and Playwrights by the Jersey Shore in in approximately 3 years. This is our first in-person performance, and it's very exciting. We're so glad you could come and see such a good audience. We did have one Zoom performance, not the same, obviously. I see a lot of faces I know, but a lot of faces I don't know. And for those who don't know us, Players and Playwrights has been in existence approximately 20 years. We have players and we have playwrights, and we have those who are both. And the purpose of our group is to promote and help playwrights make their plays as perfect as possible. So we have meetings every month. Our playwrights bring their plays that they would like us to read, and then we do a critique. And then they may bring them back another month or 2 months later with changes if they feel that they were important to do. So it's all a synergistic relationship between our players and playwrights. And then every 6 to 9 months in normal time, we perform for the public. And this, of course, is dramatic readings. That is what we do. It's just so exciting to be here, really. And also something new that you all had to put up with this year, but hopefully you'll understand. We now have a sponsorship with SCOSA, which is Stockton Center on Successful Aging. And they have been so helpful to our group, this room, our meeting rooms, getting us on Zoom, you doing tech for us. It's really a terrific relationship. And if you don't know the group, it's a loose association of groups that do things for seniors. So there's all types of activities that are part of SCOSA and other groups. And there's writing, and there's pickleball, I think, and you name it. So we are now part of them also. So without further ado, we're going to start our show. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, one other thing. We do like to promote other theater groups in the area, and coming up, there's a play called Almost Maine on September 30th to October 9th on the weekends from Full Moon Theater. And they have shows that come out of the Margate Community Church. And this one will start on September 30th. And there's also South Jersey Players, who we love to work with. And they are having an annual fundraiser on October 15th and October 16th, 3 performances where you will see, again, a couple plays and monologues, have some coffee, Danish, and enjoy yourselves. So again, thank you very much for coming, and I hope you enjoy it.
When Hope is Lost and Found, written and directed by Sandra Mandel. Cast of characters: Hope, a woman in her 60s, played by Sandra Mandel. Lana, Hope's best friend, a woman in her 60s, played by Lynn Walters. And Danny, a man in his late 50s, played by Stan Rothstein. I'm your narrator, Jim O'Hara. At Rise, Hope and Lana are having dinner in a restaurant. Scene 1.
I've had enough.
You hardly touched your veal parmesan.
I'm not talking about the food. I'm talking about life.
Hope, didn't you just get a part in Romeo and Juliet? the nurse?
Yeah, but I'm still miserable.
That miserable?
I hate my job. It's torture. My entire life is one big nightmare, and it's always been that way.
But you have Tony. He loves you.
Not anymore. We broke up last night.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, he said I'm too negative. He can't deal with me.
Can't imagine why he would say that.
Well, me neither. I've got to find a way to end it all.
Maybe you'll meet a nice guy in the future. You tend to pick people who aren't good for you.
I don't care anymore. The other day, I sat in my car and waited for the fumes to kill me.
But you have a Tesla. How could that kill you?
No wonder it didn't work. I sat in there for 2 hours, and the only thing that died was the battery.
If I were you, I'd jump off a pier during a storm in high tide.
Well, how do I know when it's high tide?
Google it.
Oh, meteorologists always get weather predictions wrong.
Not tides. Weather guys really know their tides.
Well, my luck, I jump in at low tide and break my neck. Oh, that would hurt.
How about walking into the ocean?
But then I wouldn't be able to breathe when it got too deep.
Isn't that the point?
Well, and the water might be cold.
Hope, I really don't think you're serious about this.
Yes, I am. I even Googled websites to find a way. Well, that was no help.
Why? Didn't they give you any suggestions?
No, they gave me the number to suicide prevention.
Maybe you should call them.
Do you know I called 2 different therapists a few months ago? I poured my heart out on voicemail, and neither one called me back.
Wow, that doesn't feel good.
It was the ultimate rejection.
There must be something you could do.
No, I've made up my mind. I even investigated hanging myself.
Oh, Hope, that would be scary.
Well, in order to do it efficiently, you're supposed to calculate the height of the drop in proportion to your weight.
Sounds way too complicated.
Well, I flunked math in 4th grade, and I lie about my weight. I don't need anxiety before my final demise.
I hear you. Why don't you take your Xanax with some alcohol? That should do it.
Are you kidding? I might not take the right amount. They'd have to pump my stomach. Oh, that's painful. I've lived with chronic heartburn my whole life. I'll pass on that one.
Hope, maybe you should see a psychiatrist. He could give you medication, and then you might see life differently.
Therapists are more screwed up than I am, especially psychiatrists.
But you're my best friend, and I don't want to lose you.
Life is too difficult. If you really love me, you'll help me.
I don't know.
Well, you'd be like Dr. Kevorkian, but for depressed people.
I'd feel so guilty.
Nothing to feel guilty about. You'd be helping me to put me out of my misery.
Well, I think I have the answer.
Really, Lana?
I know someone who would be willing to come to your house and
what?
and take care of the situation for you.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, Lana, you're the best friend ever.
I still feel really guilty.
No, this is a gift. What's his name?
Danny, you won't know when he's coming. He'll ring the doorbell, and your suffering will be over.
Well, how much does he charge?
What's the difference? You can't take it with you. I'll shoot him a text now.
You're an angel. Thank you.
I'm not an angel. I'll miss you so much. Oh, by the way, when you're gone, can I have your Tesla? And your cat? And I'll audition for the role of the nurse.
Blackout. Scene 2. Bring! Hope answers the door in a robe.
Hi, I'm Danny.
Oh, Danny. Oh. Well, before we get started, can I change into something else so they don't find me in this old schmata?
Actually, I think you look pretty good in that robe.
Really? This old thing?
Yeah, matches your alluring blue eyes.
You're just being kind.
Why would I be kind? I'm here to kill you.
Well, would you mind having a drink with me? I'm a little nervous.
Well, I usually don't drink on the job, but what the hell? I'll have a beer and the cash.
Well, here's the beer, and here's the cash. So tell me, Danny, how did you get into this profession?
Well, it was either this or the family business.
What was the family business?
Slaughterhouse.
Ah, I see the connection.
Yeah, wasn't for me.
Why?
'Cause I like animals. They never did me no harm.
I get it. I'll miss my Fluffy. He's the only thing that ever loved me and purrs like an engine.
Well, yes, you can't trust people. Why didn't you get 2 cats? That way you could have had twice as much love.
That's too much litter to clean. I can't stand messes.
But you're so lonely.
I know. So many men have disappointed me.
I think we better get this moving along.
Well, how are you going to do this? Are you going to strangle me with your muscular arms?
Here, I thought I had to work out more.
Not at all. You look really strong.
Do you want me to strangle you?
Well, not particularly.
I'm going to shoot you.
Where?
It's a surprise.
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom.
Oh, the bedroom.
Yeah, it'll be.
No, I meant where on my body.
It'll be a surprise.
Well, I like things done right.
Leave it up to me. I'm the professional. Are you ready?
Pull that trigger, cowboy, nice and hard.
I can't do it.
Well, do you want to do it another way?
No, I don't want to do it anyway.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I never felt like this before.
What way?
Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes. I felt the sparks from the minute I saw you.
I can't do this. I can't do it at all.
But I don't want to die anymore. Can we get together tomorrow?
Well, not tomorrow. I've got another job. Friday would be fine.
I can't wait. By the way, Danny, if you're not going to kill me, can I have my cash back?
Curtain.
The Purse, a play by Nancy Swartz. Pamela Samet is a mature woman played by Shirley Belitsky. Renee Lewis is a young mother of a 4-year-old son played by Shirley DeBacco. The place is a grocery store parking lot. Pamela has exited the store and is walking toward her car. She is carrying a bag of groceries and has a purse slung over her shoulder. Renee hurries toward her.
Stop. Oh, I'm so glad I caught up with you. I had to hand my son over to my friends so that I could find you and explain what happened. You seemed upset and hurried away so quickly, I didn't have time to apologize.
Oh, you mean when your son grabbed my purse from my cart and proceeded to open it?
Yes, I am so embarrassed. You see, my mom, when babysitting, keeps this used purse for Tyler, which is filled with an old wallet, play money, and some keys.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, from Tyler's 4-year-old perspective, he thinks a purse is now the greatest toy thing in the world.
And you haven't taken the time to explain that that's not a normal toy?
No, but this is his first attempt at exploring someone else's purse, so I never gave it a thought. It never occurred to me that he would just reach over into someone's cart and...
Oh, perhaps you should watch him more closely and also leave more space between your cart and those of others. Children at this age are impulsive and unpredictable. One never knows what they might do from 1 minute to the next.
Tell me about it. Just last week, he was playing with an empty shirt box while I changed the bed. Suddenly, he grabbed the box, headed for the stairs, and proceeded to sled ride all the way down. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt, just frightened.
Oh, as well as I can imagine.
Say, don't I know you from somewhere? You live over on Locust Lane. Mrs. Samet, isn't it? Right. I'm Renee Lewis. And your son Mark was in my preschool class. Oh, now I remember. There was some type of accident.
Yes. Mark walked into my husband's den that contained an enormous floor-to-ceiling bookcase, stocked full of heavy books. I guess Mark thought it was a ladder and proceeded to climb. It fell over and crushed him, killing him.
I am so very sorry. Mark was such a sweet boy, and at the time when he was no longer in school, I didn't understand why. It was a few years later before I heard about the accident.
Yes, it never should have happened. But I stupidly left him out of my sight. A 4-year-old requires the kind of mother who realizes the need for constant vigilance.
But surely, there is no way you could have known.
It's a mother's responsibility always to know what her child is doing, wherever they are, especially unattended in a grocery cart, for instance.
Mrs. Samet, I am really sorry for what happened to your son, but I've taken the time to apologize for today's incident, and I will not stand here and allow you to guilt trip me over it. It's just a purse, for God's sake.
Pamela places her grocery bag on the ground. She removes the purse from her shoulder. She releases the clasp, reaches inside and holds her palm open to Renee, exposing a snub-nosed revolver.
What? Oh.
Yes, Renee, you're right. It was only a purse, for God's sake.
Blackout.
The Gift That Keeps on Giving, a one-act play by Phyllis Marion Shanken. Based on the story The Gift That Keeps on Giving, Sweetie Cat Press, October 2022. The cast: Marley, a childhood friend of Judy, played by Dale Friedman. Judy, childhood friend of Marley, played by Rachel Kaplan. Sarah, friend of Marley and Judy, played by Shirley Belitsky. Dorothy, Marley's 70-year-old neighbor, played by Sharon Haywood. Narrator, Phyllis Shanken. Okay, place: Marley's home in a middle-class neighborhood, and the time is December. Scene 1. Living room, artificial fruit centerpiece displayed on middle of coffee table. Marley sits on sofa facing Judy, who sits on the stuffed armchair.
Cindy is your daughter-in-law. You're stuck with that monstrosity.
She's punishing me because I couldn't bring myself to put on that ugly pea green gown she tried to make us all wear at her wedding. Sorry. The color clashed with my eyes.
I can see that.
You saw the bridesmaid dresses. Was my gown so far off?
Well, it was a very pale green. Not exactly.
That's what bugged her. Where do I put this?
Well, it's a centerpiece. Probably the dining room table.
I'm gonna die if I have to look at that thing every time I pass through to the kitchen.
You could remodel the house and avoid looking at it.
Very funny, Judy. That's 'cause she's not your son's wife. You don't know her. She's very tit for tat.
What if you tell her you never received it?
Then she'll send a replacement. Just what I need. Twin tower fruit arrangements.
Why not the truth? Say it just doesn't match.
She'll tell Sammy I questioned her taste. She'll divorce him and, oh no, he'll move back home.
Okay. Forget the truth. There's got to be a way to, this centerpiece kind of makes you think that it should smell rancid like real rotting fruit. That's pungent.
Smells like mothballs. Cindy probably stashed it in her attic the day after the wedding when she first plotted her revenge.
I wouldn't put it past her.
Problem is, Cindy and Sammy are coming next Thursday, and she'll be snooping around. Maybe that's why she kept it in mothballs, so she could inhale the location. What do I tell her?
Well, after next week, when are they coming back?
Luckily, they don't fly in too often. Maybe this summer.
Great. That gives you at least 6 months.
Good thinking. As soon as they go home, I'll hide it till the summer.
Sammy is thinking of leaving her, right?
True. Heaven forbid. His move back home will be for life.
Barley, you can't have it both ways. Either keep the gorgeous centerpiece or get the spare room ready for Sammy.
Difficult choice. Maybe I can live with it. Oh, no way. No way. What do I say to Cindy when she does come back?
Don't say anything. She'll never bring it up.
Oh, that'll be the day.
You tell her, since you already had a centerpiece, you gave it to a needy family.
Best idea yet. I'll dump it on someone else.
Right. I do that all the time.
You do?
See that vase? That vase in your break front?
What's that got to do with?
Sarah Schuster gave that to me. You know what a cheapskate she is. She tried to pass it off as lead crystal, but it's really regular cut glass.
Wait, you gave Sarah's gift to me, and that's what you told me when you gave me the vase? You said lead crystal.
Why act so surprised?
I just found out my oldest friend has been duping me.
No,
What? I didn't know you've been giving me your discarded gifts. You didn't even spend your own money on me? Like I'm not worth it? And I took your word for it that it's lead crystal.
I wasn't lying. I was just...
The vase did look cheap, but I gave my friend the benefit of the doubt. I never liked the thing, but for the sake of my best buddy, I kidded myself.
That's not my fault.
Yes, it is.
You could have gotten rid of it. Give it to Cindy.
We've been friends forever, and I never knew this about you. Were you doing this stuff in high school?
That sweater looks great on you.
This sweater you gave me for my birthday? You've got to be kidding.
I knew that color would work better on you, and you're more creative than I am. You found the right scarf to go with it. Makes the mousy color not so noticeable.
Oh, so you gave it to me because mousy colors look better on me?
Don't get all huffy. Everyone does it.
Where have I been all my life?
That's why you have so much stuff in your house. Can't get rid of all those well-meaning gifts.
So that's why your house is so barren.
Right. I'm a minimalist. Anyway, if I won't enjoy it, why not help others?
But maybe those people don't want it either.
Then they can re-gift it.
You never have to spend a dime on a gift. Do you do this with your kids too?
I plead the fifth.
No. And barren too?
My lips are sealed. Just get over it, Marley. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Cindy's monstrosity.
Do you think Elaine Warren would like it?
Blackout. Scene 2, setting. Marley's living room 1 month later. At Rise, Marley sits on sofa, doorbell rings, enter Sarah, who barges in, not waiting for Marley to answer.
I was in the neighborhood and just wanted to thank you for that fake fruit basket. It's quite large. It's a lot of centerpiece there.
Yes, I thought you might appreciate it. Your love of fruit and all.
Well, I'm not using it yet. You know, I'm moving soon, so I just packed it away for now.
Don't put it in mothballs or anything. Just wrap it in tissue paper.
Right, I already thought of that.
Good. Because it seems to absorb whatever odors are around it.
I noticed that. I think the person who had it before me wears Estee Lauder. Spellbound.
That's what I wear.
What a popular brand.
Right.
Anyway, gotta run. I'm out shopping for a gift for Judy. It's her birthday on Sunday.
I know. I already bought her a sweater.
Oh, can I see it?
Better not.
Why not?
Because it looks a lot like the one you gave me last year. Maybe you wouldn't want us both to have the same sweater.
Then I guess I don't have to see it, since I already know what it looks like.
It saves me the trip upstairs.
Blackout. Scene 3, setting. Marley's living room a few months later. At Rise, Marley sits on sofa, doorbell rings.
Door's open. Come on in. Dorothy, it's been too long. So glad to see you.
I heard from Linda you're moving, so I thought I'd drop in. A pity we won't be neighbors anymore.
I'm so sorry, Dorothy. I should have told you in person, but we only just decided to move. We had to get a bigger place because Sammy's coming back to live with us.
He wasn't married very long, was he?
Maybe a year. When they came for their summer visit, I knew things weren't right. That Cindy is such a bitch.
You never liked her.
She always had it in for me.
Wait, I forgot to.
Dorothy goes outside the front door, stoops down, brings up a wrapped gift box.
Anyway, here's a gift for your new house.
That's so sweet of you. You shouldn't have. May I open it?
By all means. Can't wait for you to see it.
It smells so good. Like my Estee Lauder perfume.
Yes, the fragrance really adds a nice touch. Guaranteed to sweeten any room.
Marley finishes removing the wrapping paper, opens the box, and pulls out the original fake fruit centerpiece. Curtain.
All right, here we go. Our next play is called The Facts of Life, a one-act play by Tom Chin. Cast of characters. Ronnie, a bright 17, 18-year-old teenager who lives with his grandparents, played by Joe Chilostri. Granddad, Ronnie's grandfather, a man in his 70s, played by Tom Chin. Time, the recent past. Place, in the study of a large house. Setting, a large study in Granddad's house, which has a desk with a chair. Next to it is a comfortable armchair. At Rise, Ronnie is sitting in the armchair, glancing around the room at the many books on the shelves, knickknacks, etc., waiting for his granddad to come in. The door opens, and Granddad enters.
There you are, Ronnie. Sorry I'm late. Got tied up talking to your grandmother.
No problem. I was just looking around at your collection of books. Have you read them all?
No, some I've only just looked at the pictures. my little joke, just kidding.
Very funny, Granddad. You mentioned at dinner you wanted to have a talk with me. I hope I haven't done anything to upset you.
Oh, no, nothing to upset me at all. You're a fine young man, Ronnie, bound for Harvard, if I may add.
Oh, glad you're not upset. You and Grandma have always been very generous and kind to me. I wouldn't want to do anything that might hurt you.
I know. Anyway, it's late and probably almost past your bedtime, but I decided that tonight was the night.
For?
Well, traditionally, your dad should be telling you all this, but as he's been listed as missing in action for many years.
I don't know he was missing. Mom says she knows exactly where he is, and he can stay there.
Yeah, well, but what your mother says and what she actually knows is usually two completely different things. I know, I raised her and have the headaches to prove it. But that's all beside the point, isn't it? So with him not present, I guess I'm next in line to explain it all. It's important you get off on the right track with these things.
Explain it all what, Granddad?
Why, the facts of life, of course. What else? I think it's long overdue.
Well, before Dad went missing, he told me all about the birds and the bees.
That's a whole different kettle of fish altogether. Oh. The birds and the bees is a bunch of censored, abbreviated biological poppycock, made up for children by adults who don't have the guts to come right out and say it like it is. That sort of thing is too old-fashioned for a budding young man like yourself.
From what I've heard about the facts of life, it sounds very similar. Almost the exact same thing.
Ronnie, I want you to forget all those old wives' tales that circulate around the schoolyard at recess time, passing off for the facts of life. You just listen to what your old granddad is about to tell you, and you won't go wrong, okay?
Sure, Granddad, whatever you say.
Good. Now, let's see, where do I begin? Okay, here goes. When a man and a woman really like each other, there's only one logical conclusion. They end up doing it.
Doing what, Granddad?
It. Doing it. Don't be dense, you know. Bodily penetration.
Oh, you mean like body piercing and the kind of thing they do at tattoo parlors?
No. I'm talking about sex, for crying out loud. Not that you have to cry out loud if you're having sex, although some people say it does help. I wouldn't, no, not personally.
Wow. Granddad, you can have sex without, as you put it, bodily penetration.
What? Are you some kind of politician?
Granddad, I think I already know a little bit about it already.
About what?
Sex.
Hush! Not so loud. Your grandmother's in the next room. We don't want to get her all excited.
Excited?
That's another thing I need to tell you about. Women.
I think I know something about that too, Granddad. I have a lot of female friends.
I'm not talking about females. I'm talking about women.
Oh.
Real women. When my father had this talk with me many years ago, young man, I remember asking him, what do women really want?
Maybe you should have asked your mother that question instead.
Ronnie, don't be ridiculous. You don't go around asking women those types of questions. He then said, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. And he was half right. I know. When it's 10 o'clock, it doesn't matter what I want to do, like work on a project or do something in the den. I have to go up to bed, too. She swears she can't fall asleep without me in the room. Something about being frightened to be alone with the lights off or all some such nonsense. But since I've put up with it for so long...
Granddad, to get back to the original subject, what does this have to do with the facts of life?
Why, everything. I thought it was crystal clear that without women...
Granddad, has Mom been saying things about me? Because I think I see what you're getting at, but currently I'm on the fence about things like that.
On the fence? I'm not sure I like the way that sounds or fully understand what you mean by that, young man.
It means that I enjoy being with males and females, and it can go either way.
It? What do you mean by it?
I guess what I mean by it is the same thing that you mean by it.
Nonsense. Of course your it doesn't mean what my it means. It can't possibly.
Why not?
Ronnie, I think you're getting confused. Let me clarify this for you. We men, we all like a good helping of male camaraderie. It's only natural. That's why we play sports, football. You tackle a guy, help him up, you give him a pat on the butt, he does the same to you. It's all good, clean fun, that's all. That's why we don't want women in the clubhouse, in the showers. That's a time for male bonding, you know, hijinks, shenanigans. Now, I'm not talking about anything acey-deucey here, if you know what I'm getting at.
Granddad, I think I do.
Good. Some things need to be crystal clear. That's the only way things ever get out in the open, and I don't mean out of the closet.
Well, actually, I wasn't talking about any of that either.
Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Always helps to be on the same page.
Well, especially if we're just looking at the pictures, right, Granddad?
Very good. Very, very funny. Very funny.
Well, I'm glad we're finally having this talk, really, because the official word for what I may be sexually is...
Hush. I told you not so loud. Your grandmother's probably listening through the keyhole.
Is bi.
Where are you going? We only just started this conversation.
I'm not going anywhere, Granddad.
You said bi. I only say bi when I'm leaving.
Bi is short for bisexual.
Bisexual?
Not so loud. Grandma may be listening through the keyhole. Although she doesn't really need to, as you left the study door wide open. But that's okay. The more out in the open, the better.
This bisexual thing, does it mean you dress up like a man half the time and a woman the other half?
No, that's called split personality.
What about those guys? You know, the ones with the big hands that come out with makeup on and women's clothing and impersonate Judy Garland or Cher, but have deep voices afterwards when they talk?
No, Granddad, that's a drag act.
Well, some of them could be bi.
Well, sure, but that's beside the point. I can assure you I have no desire to strut my stuff like Lady Gaga.
Gaga? Well, anyway, when I was a kid, I used to go to the drag races with my dad, your great-grandfather, and no men were wearing dresses there. They knew better.
Opens the desk drawer and pulls out a small photo album.
But I do have this picture of him on stage in Burma from World War II, where he was stationed to entertain the troops. He used to dress up like one of the Andrews sisters and sing with these two other guys.
Shows Ronnie the picture.
He used to say all the soldiers whistled and gave him catcalls.
Well, I'm sure he enjoyed doing that for those men fighting for our country, trying to cheer them up a little, being stuck out in the middle of a theater of war.
Yes, he did. He had a blast. It was campy, but there wasn't anything effeminate going on.
Are you sure about that, Granddad?
The proof was, young man, he came back from the war, married a real woman, and fathered your Uncle Clive and me. That's evidence enough.
Well, he could have done that if he was bi, and that wouldn't have made him any less of a man.
So what are you going to do about this venture straddling? Sorry, poor choice of words. You can't sit on it forever, or can you?
All I know is that this is the way I am, and I'm okay with it. Have you ever had a bromance, Granddad?
We didn't have words like bromance as part of our vocabulary growing up.
Well, it refers to when you have a male friend that you're very fond of and bond with, sort of a brotherly love. You know, maybe in the same way you love Uncle Clive, but with just a bit more emotional intimacy.
I see what you're trying to get at, Ronnie, but that is something that is never going to happen.
Point taken, Granddad.
However, if I were ever to choose a special friend, he'd have to be a whole lot better looking than your Uncle Clive, who happens to be one ugly bastard. Oh, what? Oh.
Suddenly looks up and sees into the next room.
Oh.
Anything wrong, Granddad?
No, nothing. I was momentarily startled. It's only your grandmother beckoning to me. She's pointing to her wristwatch, reminding me it's her bedtime. Sorry to cut off our talk so abruptly. It was just getting interesting. But I better go. Old traditions are hard to break.
Yeah, totally understandable.
Starts to stand up.
And if I don't go now, well, hell has no fury like a woman scorned, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, point taken.
You're a fine young man, Ronnie. I love you.
Thanks, Granddad. I love you too, and I just want you to be proud of me.
Wish we had begun earlier, giving me more time to further explain the real facts of life to you. Maybe an earlier start next time.
Sounds like a plan, Granddad.
I'll be right there, dear. The woman's insatiable.
Oh, God.
Ronnie picks up album and thumbs through it, smiling. Blackout.
The Voodoo Fix, a 10-minute play written and directed by Jim O'Hara. Cast of characters: Bernice Douglas, retired from teaching in the U.S., AP Literature teacher at ISBV, played by Phyllis Marion Schenken. Nancy Norris, 30-ish middle school social studies teacher at the International School of Vista Boa, ISBV, played by Nancy Schwartz. Amy Saunders, 50-ish art teacher at ISBV, lived in Brazil as expat for the past 20-plus years, played by Sheila Rosen. Juanita Bacana, a trans-Afro-Brazilian fortune teller and practitioner of voodoo, owner and proprietor of the Santa Catarina Casa de Santo, played by Jerry Brooker. Setting: outside of the Casa de Santa, a shop selling voodoo spiritualist potions and relics on the island of Santa Catarina, Brazil. Time: present day. At Rise, Bernice and Nancy are waiting for their colleague Amy to arrive.
Where's Amy? She told us to meet her at 4 o'clock, and it's 4:35 already. She's always late.
I feel so bad lying to Charlie about getting a mani-pedi.
Oh, just slap on some fresh nail polish. Tell him they did a rush job. They'll never know the difference.
Sorry, I'm late. The buses were full.
I don't have much time. Charlie will be expecting dinner on the table when he returns from tutoring.
Seriously? Nancy, dear, we need to talk.
Did you bring something personal of Charlie's?
Yes, but I don't understand.
Good. Bernice, you've got the cash?
300 reais, fresh from the ATM.
Are you girls ready for an authentic cultural experience? Juanita is the best to read omens and symbols and voodoo.
Ready?
Ochimo. Okay, girls, Let's go shopping.
Amy, Bernice, and Nancy enter the Casa de Santo.
Boa tardes, meninas. Bem-vindo a minha casa.
Boa tarde, Juanita. I'm afraid my friends don't speak Portuguese, English only.
Oh, not to worry, querida. Juanita is completely bilingual and bicultural. What brings you to our Casa de Santo this afternoon? Do you need a refill on your love potion, Senorita Amy? Or maybe a special infusion?
Oh, no, Juanita. The last one worked wonderfully. My friend Nancy needs your help.
Everyone is welcome at Juanita's.
Amy tells us that you can interpret a disturbing incident that happened to Nancy and her husband. There are photos on her phone.
Juanita is always happy to help, for a small fee, of course.
Can you tell us what this means? Nancy, show Juanita your phone.
Nancy pulls out her cell phone and shows a photo to Juanita.
It means that someone is very unhappy with you, Carita. Or maybe with your husband?
No one could be angry with my Charlie. Everyone loves him. He's always tutoring his students after school, and he volunteers downtown 2 afternoons a week. He's just perfect. We met on ChristianMingle.com.
My AP Lit students are always tweeting about how hot he is.
Oh, sounds like a real saint. Also sounds like he spends a hell of a lot of time away from your apartment. Could Charlie be cheating?
My Charlie would never be a cheater. He's always very caring with all his students.
I'm sure you're right, Nancy.
You can't trust any of them these days.
Give Juanita your phone so she can get a closer look at the photo.
Nancy hands her phone to Juanita, who looks at the photos. Juanita hands back the phone to Nancy.
Carita, these photos tell an interesting story.
What do you mean?
Oh, Juanita would be happy to explain further. For a donation of only 100 reais?
Bernice, the cash, please.
Bernice extracts bills from her purse.
20, 40, 60, 80, 100 reais.
Juanita picks up the bills, tucks it into her bra, and looks at the phone again.
Obrigada. We see some very mysterious things in this photo. It looks like a ceremonial voodoo ritual.
How mysterious could it be? It's a dead chicken, some burnt cigars, and a bottle of booze.
The chicken is symbolic of a cleansing spirit, and the smoked cigars can symbolize the male sexual organ. Rum is an offering to the gods to entice them to answer a prayer.
Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
Carita, do you have anything that we see in the photos? Juanita can get a better connection with the spirits from real objects.
Just the photo, right, Nancy?
Well, I did take this one itty-bitty candle, the one next to the dead chicken.
Perfect. Let Juanita smell the candle.
Nancy retrieves a large 10-inch tall candle from her purse and hands it to Juanita.
The fragrance of hibiscus. Yes, that completes the circle. Spirit offerings can include candles, cigars, flowers, and the sacrifice of small animals. Often alcohol is involved.
Yeah, but what does this all mean for our friend Nancy?
It could mean that someone has broken off an intense relationship, a sexual one, and a jilted lover wishes them ill health, or death, or...
Death? Or what, Juanita?
Or impotence, at the very least.
Are you sure about this?
Juanita is never wrong when it comes to affairs of the heart.
I told you, Juanita knows everything.
Juanita glances down at Nancy's phone, picks it up for a closer look, then places it back on the table.
Who is this man on your screensaver, Carita? Is this your husband?
Yes, isn't he handsome? It's an old picture, but that's the one I fell in love with.
Have you seen him before?
Well, Juanita's memory can get very clouded.
What's it going to take to uncloud it?
A donation of 50 hay ice might do the trick.
Bernice places another 50 ice on the table. Juanita adeptly scoops it up and tucks it away in her bra.
Obrigada.
Yeah, what can you remember now?
Juanita has seen this man near the Centra walking with a young, dark-haired woman in the afternoon many times.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence. One of those poor girls that he helps from the homeless shelter.
Oh, wait a minute. I've seen that photo too. But where? Let me think. Oh, yeah, on Brazilian Tinder and Badoo and Plenty of Fish. No, I canceled that one. It was too expensive.
Oh, are there any dating sites you haven't been on, Amy?
Oh, what the hell was that profile name? Let me look. I'm sure I swiped it.
I'm sure there's a perfectly innocent explanation.
That's it. That was the profile name. Here it is, big as life. Lucky Chucky.
Oh my God, that's the photo from Christian Mingle. He told me he was lucky to find Jesus. How could I have been so stupid?
No wonder my senior girls were all giddy, especially if they saw these pictures.
May Juanita get a peek?
Amy hands the phone to Juanita, who swipes through the photos, savoring each one.
Oh my, oh my. He looks so very, how do you say in English, very, talented?
I guess he was too good to be true. But what can I do? I love him.
Perhaps Juanita can help. For a small donation, of course.
Of course.
Senora Nancy, did you bring anything personal of, what's his name again?
His name is Charlie. No, it's Chucky. Lucky Chucky. Cheating bastard.
Yeah.
Yes, Chucky. Do you have a toothbrush, a comb, anything that might contain his, essence?
Will these help?
Nancy reaches into her purse. She holds up a bright red stripper's thong.
Are these Chucky's undies?
Yes.
Juanita picks up the thong and takes a deep breath.
Ochimo.
He started wearing them when we came to Brazil.
That's perfect. In 2 weeks, Juanita can make a voodoo doll using the thong and his hair.
A voodoo doll?
Juanita pulls a sample voodoo doll from under the counter.
See, an enchanted boneca that lets you manipulate Chucky with a push, a twist, and a pin.
How much will this cost?
Only 200 hay ice. When you come to pick it up, Juanita will teach you how to control Charlie's every move.
Sounds like it's worth 200 hay ice to me.
And for another 50 hay ice, Juanita can show you how to manipulate the pin so Senor Chucky will never have another erection without your permission.
That's worth at least another 100, don't you think, Nancy?
Juanita, do you take Visa?
Sorry, Corita. Cash only. But you can bring the money when you pick up the boneca.
Obrigada, Juanita. I think I'm going to like living in Brazil after all.
That's why we call it Terra Magica, the magical land.
Nancy's cell phone rings. She picks it up and looks at it.
Lucky Chucky checking up on you?
No, it's our Uber. They'll be here in 2 minutes.
Can we drop you someplace, Amy?
If it's not too much trouble, obrigada.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Nancy, Bernice, and Amy exit the loggia. Once outside, Amy starts to look for her phone.
I must have left my phone inside. I'll be right back.
Amy, Corita, did you forget something?
Don't play innocent with me, Krita. Just dig into that magical titty bank of yours and give me my cut. 40 hairs, por favor.
20? 40.
Obrigada. Oh, I have 2 more amigos who need an authentic cultural experience with Juanita. Can you do segunda-feira?
Monday? Tá bom. Juanita is always happy to help.
For a small donation, of course.
Of course.
Curtain.
Iphigenia in Brooklyn, a one-act play by James A. Landau. Characters: Iphigenia, daughter of King Agamemnon, played by Nancy Swartz. Artemis, the virgin goddess of the hunt, played by Sandra Mundell. Apollo, god of the sun, played by Jerry Brooker. Scene 1. Place: Aulis, a seaport in ancient Greece. Time: 1200 BC, at the beginning of the Trojan War. Iphigenia, the teenage daughter of King Agamemnon, is in confinement, waiting to be executed.
To sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock, in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a swift, sharp shock from a cheap and chipper chopper on a big black block.
Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt, comes to visit Iphigenia.
Isn't it a little morbid, Your Highness, to visit me after you have condemned me to death?
You were never going to be executed.
Then, Your Holiness, could you please explain to me why I have been the subject of this drama?
I'll start at the beginning. As you probably know, both Apollo and I are supporting the Trojans in the soon-to-be war.
Apollo, that creep?
He is a god. Why do you call him a creep?
Because he's been chasing me ever since I came to Aulis. All that this Olympian does is think of me as his mistress. You're the virgin goddess, Artemis, aren't you? Why don't you protect me against this creep?
I'll have you know he is my twin brother.
He's still a creep.
Have it your way. But he and I are allies supporting the Trojans. The easiest way to help the Trojans is to prevent this war. And the easiest way to do that is to make it impossible for the Greek fleet to sail to Troy. That's why I stopped all the winds, so the Greek fleet could not sail. Ingenious, wasn't it?
Then what am I doing here?
First, we framed your father, Agamemnon. He went hunting and shot a deer with his arrows, and then I stopped the winds. I bribed Agamemnon, pet seer, to say I had stopped the winds because what he had shot was one of my sacred deer.
How do you bribe a seer?
By supplying him with some true predictions he can prophesy. Anyway, the seer went on to say that the only way to pacify me and get the winds back was to sacrifice you. By all that is holy, Agamemnon should have refused to have you killed, in which case he would have gone home to Mycena and taken the Greek army, and you along with him. And you would be safe and sound in Mycena, and there would be no war. Instead, Agamemnon let his ambitions run away with him, and he agreed to let you be executed so that the fleet would sail. You, his own daughter? What would have thought? Who would have thought? His very name, Agan plus Memamai, means very much thinking on.
Was he really going to sacrifice me?
Yes, he decided he would. But Apollo and I have never expected that to happen.
So will I still be killed?
No. At the last moment, I will substitute one of my secret deer for you, and Apollo will take you to a hiding place.
Where?
I don't know. Apollo won't tell me, but he has promised me it is somewhere that no Olympian other than he can ever find.
Blackout. Scene 2. Apollo has just taken Iphigenia to Brooklyn in the year 2020 AD.
Where are we?
In a city called Brooklyn, 3,220 years in your future.
3,220 years? Why such an odd number?
3,220 is an even number.
But why
I can do time jumps. In fact, I'm the only Olympian who can do them. That's why I'm entrusted with the Sun Chariot.
But why such a big jump?
Well, there are many jumps which are impossibly difficult for me, but 3,220 happens to be an especially easy time distance.
Why?
Because in that length of time, the Earth moves 1/8 of the way through the zodiac.
What will you be doing with me here? I want you to know I will not be your lover at any time, including 3,000 years away from home.
As a princess in Agamemnon's palace, you learned sewing and weaving, didn't you?
Yes.
I will leave you with a Greek woman who does weaving and custom needlework. She will take you on as her assistant. 1 year from now, I will return for you. After a year in Brooklyn, we will see if you change your mind about being my lover.
Blackout. Scene 3. Brooklyn, year 2021 AD. Apollo shows up to see Iphigenia again.
And how do you like Brooklyn, my love?
You couldn't have picked a worse place if you tried. And it gets worse and worse by the day. There's a plague going on here. They call it COVID-17 or Toy-teen or something. And the traffic? Crossing the street is like being in a battlefield.
Have you learned to speak Brooklynese?
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Nouns can be verbs and verbs can be nouns, and those prepositions at the end of a sentence. How would you like to speak a language like that?
I'll stick to Greek. Since you dislike Brooklyn so much, how about if I take you away from it?
As your mistress? No way. I'd rather spend time cooped up in my little apartment on Toity-Toyd Street than go anywhere with you.
I could stay here for a while and show you what it's like to have an immortal as a lover.
No way. There's still some things I like about Brooklyn, like the electric railroads, for instance.
Electric railroads?
Yes, they're even better than your Sun Chariot. Here, I'll show you. Over there's the entrance to where they run underground.
You really like them?
Do you know that electric railroads were named after my sister Electra? Come with me. I'll show you their best feature, the toyed rail.
Toyed rail?
Yes. You sit on it and it gives you a massage. It's worth a try. You'll like it.
Apollo and Iphigenia enter the subway.
It's that black thing over there. Just sit down slowly on it and you'll feel something you've never felt before.
Blackout, or more exactly, a big flash of light as Apollo sits on the third rail. Scene 4. Now we are in temple in the town of Taurus in the Crimea. The time is 1200 BC, several days after scene 1. The winds have come, and the Greek fleet has sailed for Troy. Iphigenia meets Artemis.
Where am I?
In my temple in the town of Taurus. You will not be leaving Taurus, But you will have a long and satisfying life as my priestess here.
What happened to Apollo?
Oh, he has this terrible wound right where he sits down.
He survived?
Yes, but you won't have to worry about him wanting you anymore.
Why?
Because he is now a eunuch. Up on Mount Olympus, they're taking bets on how long before his beard falls out. How did you like Brooklyn?
Forget about it.
Clayton.
All right. Hello again, a one-act play by Tom Chin. Cast of characters: Caller, a smooth-talking salesman whose language is a byproduct of a bygone era, played by Tom Chin. Mrs. Worthington, a well-to-do, mature woman of independent means, played by Dale Friedman. Place, a telephone conversation. Time, several generations ago. Setting, two old-fashioned rotary phones on separate tables on opposite sides of stage. An open box is next to the caller's phone, and the contents cannot be seen by the audience. Mrs. Worthington is seated in a chair, thumbing through a magazine near her phone, sipping a cocktail. At Rise, the caller is debating whether to make a call or not, then decides to do so. Mrs. Worthington picks up upon the third ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Mayfair 8, 1952. Hello.
Hello, madam. This is a courtesy call.
A courtesy call from whom, may I ask?
My dear lady, from whom is altogether secondary and is of no great importance.
Is of no great importance? I beg your pardon?
It's of no great importance only in as far as all I'm trying to do is sell you something you definitely do not need, or even want for that matter, and would never buy in the normal course of events.
Wait a minute. Who are you to tell me what I would or wouldn't buy or do? Are you some kind of mind reader or something?
Although I do have that particular talent in my repertoire, madam, with all due respect, I guarantee you would not be interested in the slightest.
You really have some nerve. You know that?
Yes, I do. If I didn't, I wouldn't be calling and telling you up front what a lousy, horrid, absolutely ghastly product I'm trying to push off on you now, would I?
What makes you think I'm not interested? Wait a minute. I know. You read my number in the personals, didn't you?
The personals?
You know, the adverts in the Lonely Hearts column? That has to be it. Now, don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. Did you or did you not read it in the personals?
I can see it will be very difficult to pull any wool over your eyes, madam.
That's the first sensible thing I've heard you say.
Thank you. So yes, I do admit it. I did see it in the newspaper. In fact, and please do not hold this against me, as I was somewhat at a loose end, I decided to leisurely browse through the classified when I perchance happened to stumble across it. Although I must confess, somewhere deep down inside me, as soon as I heard your voice, I just knew you were not the type of woman who would ever entertain the thought of buying such a ludicrous product.
Is that what you thought? Well, you're positively wrong. That's what you get for the audacity of assuming. I'd like to be very frank with you for a moment, sir, if I may.
Certainly, madam. I welcome it.
You may address me as Mrs. Worthington.
Certainly, Mrs. Worthington.
If you tell me what it is that you are trying to sell me, I might, just might, think about purchasing it. I can't be fairer than that, can I?
Of course not, Mrs. Worthington. And if I may say so myself, you have gone above and beyond the call of duty in keeping this transitory transaction alive. However, for principle's sake, and I am a man of principle, let there be no doubt about that, I must warn you.
What is it now? Must warn me about what?
Must warn you that not only is it old-fashioned, redundant, and useless, but it is extremely overpriced.
Sir, I am not a woman without means, I'll have you know. I made absolutely sure that my late husband made absolutely sure of that.
That was most considerate of him, I'm sure, but please, Mrs. Worthington, I don't think you fully comprehend. It's ridiculously overpriced.
I don't care how damned overpriced it is.
It is outrageously expensive, to say the least.
Just tell me how much the damn thing is, and I'll buy it.
You will?
Yes.
Ah, splendid, splendid indeed.
Now, to whom do I make the check payable?
To myself, Alf Ramsbottom.
Allow me a moment to get my checkbook. Alf. Also, does Ramsbottom have one T or two? And should it be hyphenated?
It's 2 T's and, oh dear.
Oh dear. Let me remind you, Mr. Ramsbottom, that we have only just been formally introduced, and that any terms of endearment are altogether too premature.
I was not being familiar, madam, but I do mean, oh dear.
I do not like the sound of that. I only say, oh dear, when something is wrong.
I do apologize for the sudden abrupt change of tone in my voice, but I've just taken a quick survey of my inventory, and after due consideration, I am sorry to say...
Go on, spit it out, man. What are you so abruptly sorry to say?
The only one I have left is, well...
Well, what?
Damaged.
Damaged?
Yes, damaged. I should have checked that one small detail before I called and wasted your valuable time. I am wholeheartedly sorry. In fact, I never should have taken the liberty to call in the first place. I am ashamedly devastated. I do apologize, Mrs. Worthington. I do not know what else to say.
I think you have said quite enough already. Somehow I feel a bit cheated.
My dear lady, I can assure you that was never my initial intention.
Initial intention or not, I do not know if I can or should ever be able to forgive you. But as you have put it so elegantly in such decorous terms, Alf, I personally do not see the need for you to agonize over this matter any further. Your apology has been fully accepted.
I could not be more satisfied, Mrs. Worthington, considering our transaction started out on slightly shaky footing.
Not to worry. You've been most gracious about it. All things considered, of course. And we shall not mention those dreaded personals again, shall we?
Of course not. Thank you. And it is my privilege to say that it's not every day that one gets to have a conversation with...
Yes?
If I may be so bold.
Do carry on.
A lady in the truest sense of the word.
Thank you, sir. I shall take that as a compliment.
As it was well meant to be. I must now reluctantly, if not regretfully, bid you good day, Mrs. Worthington.
Good day to you also, Mr. Ramsbottom.
They hang up. Mrs. Worthington picks up a magazine, takes a sip of her drink. The caller picks up the phone and dials again. Mrs. Worthington answers on the third ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Mayfair 8, 1952. Hello.
Hello again.
Yes?
Mrs. Worthington, if by any chance I come across another one by tomorrow tea time, would you still be interested?
Silence as the lights fade to curtain.
Thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we see you for our next performance. Take care.